Aloha and welcome to Permission to Flourish, a podcast about choosing growth, joy, and purpose on your own terms. I'm your host, Jay Cornell, and I sit down with leaders, creatives, and everyday visionaries who's given themselves permission to pause, pivot, and pursue what truly matters. These conversations are real, heartfelt, and here to remind you, you don't need permission. Let's get to today's episode. I'd like to welcome our next guest speaker, Nikkia Coach Ky Tisaby. She is a certified life coach specializing in bipolar resilience and self-forgiveness, a mental wellness advocate, peer, and the founder of Coach Ky LLC. It is a coaching and education practice centered on bipolar resilience, supporting individuals in understanding their mood patterns, strengthening emotional stability, and releasing shame through self forgiveness so they can live with greater clarity, confidence, and self trust. Grounded in both academic training and lived experience, she holds a bachelor's degree in communication and psychology from Siena Heights University and was honored with the 2023 Marquis Who's Who recognized for her contributions to mental health, wellness, and community impact. Coach Ky is the author of Beauty from Ashes, Finding Redemption in Self Forgiveness, and a featured author of Joy 365, The Wisdom We Carry, and the Beauty Face of the Invisible Illness. She is also a visionary behind Who Med Network. It is a nonprofit serving youth and young adults through mental wellness education and support. I am so honored to welcome Coach Ky. Coach Ky, thank you so much for saying yes and joining us today. For those who are meeting you for the first time, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, a little bit about, let's see, where do I start? A little bit, that word.
You
Um,
can say as much as you want.
well, to sum it up as simply as I can, I am a blooming survivor, right? I have overcome many challenges, as I'm sure, like many people who are listening have. And I just am in this season of using my testimony to help others and find ways that I can support them and, be, I don't want to say be a role model because it's so much pressure when you say that, but just being someone that they can relate to, and hopefully what I share as a result of my experiences, that they can use that to help them. I am a hardcore mental health advocate. I am a certified mental health peer specialist for the state of Georgia. And I am currently serving as a life coach, specializing in bipolar disorder resilience. And that work is a result of my own lived experience with bipolar disorder. So it is my life's work. I feel I want to just erase that stigma associated with mental health, and empower those who have been living in silence and struggling with their mental disorder, that there's hope and that you can have a successful life, right? And success doesn't necessarily mean cars and money and all those things, but success can mean just waking up and making it through the day without a crying spell, right? So, whatever success means to you, I want you to know that it is possible.
That is so beautiful. And the work that you do is so powerful. And so many people really need that. And they really don't know where to turn. They just think that they have to power through for it. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you.
When you hear the phrase or the words permission to flourish, what does that personally mean to you at this stage of your life?
so many things. um, but if I could choose one, there is um, an aspect of my coaching where self-forgiveness is introduced. And that is really heavy subject, a really heavy topic, because most of us don't know how to do that, right? We're taught to forgive others, but forgiving ourselves, that's a bit of a challenge. I mean, not to say that the other isn't, but for some reason we that worst critic within us just feeds off of the self-loathing and the self-criticism, and we just don't give ourselves enough grace, right? So for me, permission to flourish is giving myself an opportunity to just authentically give myself grace. Learn earnestly and accept that the forgiveness that God gives me, that's that permission for me to really forgive myself and allow whatever lessons I've learned from mistakes to help me, that word pivot that we talked about, pivot into the next stage of my life and becoming all that I am already am, but I'm just walking into it and thriving. And so that's what it means to me.
I love that. And you mentioned season in your introduction. Is there anything that, was there a moment, season, or even experience that almost stopped you from becoming who you are today and all the help that you're doing for individuals?
Yes. Yeah, yes. My mother transitioned about 3 years ago. And that has been the toughest um, challenge for me. And I am still living in the throes of this learning experience, this acceptance, right? This new norm. Because um I have a beautiful son. He's 25. And I was definitely rooted in giving him a life, you know. But my mother, I wanted to take her places and expose her to places and things that she had not seen. And so I was just motivated and wanted her to be so proud of me, like the glow she would have, when she would see me operating in my gifts, right? It's just this feeling I can't explain. And, to know that I'm inspired by all the love and encouragement that she gives, right? So everything I do now is in honor of her. However, when she initially transitioned, I really honestly gave up. I just gave up on life. I honestly did. Um, I am uh I struggled with suicide ideation at the time. Um, and I just felt like there was no reason for me to do any of the work. Like there was no reason. Like I just, you know, and and in in that dark moment, I did not take care of myself the way I should have. Not getting the support. I fell into a bit of alcoholism, really deep, and I was not taking my medications for my mental wellness, and I got myself into some unflattering situations as a result of that, and that just pulled me down even further. And I said, what's the use? Like I'm just useless goods. Like there's nothing there's nothing for me here anymore. Like I just, you know, and in my moment, my deepest moment of despair, when I was really on the brink of checking out, and I do mean that, I literally like felt my mother's presence. And there was this, there was this moment of just peace. It was just this moment of peace. And I could hear do it in spite of me, right? You, this is beyond you. This is beyond me. And everything that you've experienced in your past and what you're going through right now, someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to hear this. Someone needs to hear your story. Someone needs to know that they are not alone. And I just remember slowly pulling myself out of that depression and just doing the work, right? Just doing the work. And there's so many steps involved in that. But I just remember doing the work, and that self-forgiveness piece was the first step. And then just really just going to God and just having that time with him and just really like, I absolutely have no control. I'm surrendering everything to you. And wherever this decision leads me, and if it's your will, let's go.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing such a vulnerable experience. But I love it because you're out there helping people just really see that there is so much more to life. You know, we just have that one thing that's stopping us. But how do we get there? And the work that you're doing is just helping so much people break through that. And, for yourself, what boundaries, habits, or even identities had to like fall away so the next version of you could show up and emerge?
That is a work in progress, to be honest. Um, I I I struggle with boundaries, honestly. Um, and because of that, I'm actually, I'm working on a piece right now, program for that. Just getting, advice from other people who have, you know, had these, life experiences and journeys that have taught them like not necessarily no nonsense, but really identifying that this is a hard stop for me and we're not going any further, right? And whether that's professional, personal, they have just, and they do it with such grace, right? But personally, it is still a work in progress as far as, identifying where I need to set a boundary. And the challenge really comes in with it in my personal life. I believe though professionally, I will say I do have boundaries professionally. Personally, I'm still working on it.
I love that because we're always learning, we're always moving, we always have to learn because we're not perfect. We're just like everyone else. We're human and we have to learn to set that, just like you, myself too. I find myself having to have to learn and relearn certain things. And it's just because of our heart. We want to do everything for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
how has your own live experience shaped the way you coach and help others?
Mm, that is the perfect question. That's the perfect question. Um, Collaboration first, right? It's not about fixing anything. The work I do is not about fixing anything, right? It is about collaboratively, um, you know, bringing in all the pieces, you know, to help you, or rather, I say support you in learning the best way of living for you. Um, I know in terms of like mental health, and it, it, in the clinical sense, there's a lot of telling. And I have no problem with that at all. Like I love my therapist dearly. I think therapists, psychiatrists, they are super essential. Um, but from my lived experience, I've had situations where it was a tell me what to do, or I know what's best for you type of situation. And that is something that I promised myself that I would not want to bring into a space, where I was coaching someone or just even having just a genuine conversation. I don't want to tell you what to do. I want us to work together. And I will share with you my experiences, my tools, my resources, and sort of guide you through picking out what works best for you so we can find your rhythm, right? Us living with bipolar disorder, there's a lot of ebb and flow, like there's a lot of up and down, right? But if you can find your rhythm, right? And if you can find your beat, right, within that rhythm, you'll be able to flow and catch yourself right when you're off rhythm and kind of shift yourself back and then just go into it. It's not a perfect thing, it's not a perfect dance, um, but it's definitely, you know, and if you decide to take that avenue, can give you some ease.
I love that. That is so
Yeah,
important, especially the way that you put it. Like you'll be working with them and you're giving them the tools to help them move forward, and you're right there alongside of them. And that's where many people forget that, it's not just you doing it on your own and here's the tools. Like I'll be there to help you and guide you and be there every step of the way.
exactly, exactly. And what I have found is that's all we really want is someone there to hold our hand and listen, right? Listen. But we have to give ourselves permission to trust. However, we have to have that safe space to trust, right? And so, my advocacy in making sure that I create a safe space for individuals that I work with is important. It's super important to me because in that way, they're able to listen to themselves when they talk because they just need that moment to vent. And ironically, they'll find the answer that they're looking for.
And for someone listening who feels stuck in their own almost stop me moment, what would you want them to hear right now?
If you're stuck right now,
Yeah,
it is,
so
it
like
is,
if they're almost at that moment that just stopped them.
yeah, yeah. First of all, it is okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to not be okay, right? And accept that moment that I'm not okay right now. Because from there, you'll be able to say, I'm not okay. Why am I not okay, right? And explore what that means. And from there, you will find that the divine like intervention of just the way, you know, in that moment of acceptance, you're able to receive so many downloads, right? And being sensitive to the downloads that you're getting and say, I'm not okay. Why am I not okay? This is why I'm not okay. What can I do to feel okay? What do I need to do once I feel okay to move forward? What do I need to do to get back or step into where I feel I need to be? Right. Um, but just acceptance, right? Acceptance. And then it's also important when you feel like you want to stop, when you feel like you want to give up, it's important for you to have a support system. It's important for you to have a lifeline, right? Someone that you can call on, right? That will listen, right, to you in that moment of acceptance, right? And just be that how can I put it? Be that sounding board, right? And you just bounce things off, right? And again, I pray that the mindset of this person is non-judgmental. It is so important. And this is for anyone living with a diagnosis or without a diagnosis, that you have someone that you go to, you can just vent and it's non-judgmental, right? And once you're done and you released it, okay, what's next? What are we going to do next? What would you like to do? Like, let's figure out how to get you from this place again to where you feel like you want or need to be.
And what is on the horizon for you this year in 2026?
Oh, I oh goodness. Oh goodness. God has been so great, and he is been showing out so much. I am on the I am reeling off of the heights. I just released a bestseller, The Wisdom We Carry. I just released that and it is a bestseller and it has been for the past 2 weeks. I'm super stoked about that. And that has led to other speaking engagements that I have that's coming up later in 2026. I was just recognized as Phenomenal Woman of the Year for 2025. And that has been very, life changing. I will be at the Choose Her Women's Conference coming up in Miami in November as a guest speaker, and I'm super excited about that with Dr. Austin. And I've been doing some phenomenal work with Elite Creations with Dr. Nadia Manzano. And it's unfolding actually. And it's one of those things where again, when you start walking in alignment and surrendering and accepting, like these doors, like so many doors just open. And it's like you have to have a moment where you sit, right? And you just like like, is this really happening? Especially, for someone, like me, that, so many challenges that I've gone through and just been in some very dark times. Um, Sometimes the things that are my experiences now, as my career thrives and I'm in different spaces and places with people, I'm like, wow, I'm here. I'm here, you know? And so I'm just really excited to see what happens next. But I'm just open and I want to continue to do projects that continue to be in alignment with where God is leading me.
God is so good. That is so amazing. Congratulations. Where can people get a copy of your bestseller?
Yes, so the wisdom we carry, it is available on Amazon. It is also available on my website, www.lifecoachkey, and key is spelled KY.com. So that's www.lifecoachkey.com. And it's actually where you'll find more resources and different connections. And it is also where you will find my unlabeled collection. And it's sweatshirts and hoodies and t-shirts, that talks about living, unlabeled, right? And just being authentically you, your genuine self. So I'm really excited about that.
I am absolutely getting a copy of your book. I'm going to place that
Thank
order after we get off
you.
this call because
Thank
I
you.
absolutely cannot wait to read it. I love reading, so I'm excited for that.
Thank
Um,
you.
Before we end this conversation, what would you like to leave the listeners with?
You are at the brink of something amazing in your life. The moment you allow yourself to love who you are, flaws and all, because that is what makes you you. It's okay to be perfectly imperfect.
Coach Ky, it has been an honor and a pleasure having you on here today. I am so blessed. I just cannot wait to get to know you better. And just this is just a start of something so amazing. So I appreciate you and I thank you. With that being said, have an amazing day, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Mahalo, and thank you so much for tuning into Permission to Flourish. If today's conversation spoke to you, please leave a review and share it with a friend who needs a reminder that they too are allowed to share and thrive. Visit permissiontoflourish.com if you're ready to share your own story or explore our publishing opportunities. You'll also find free resources and inspiration to help you say yes to your own flourishing journey. Until next time, keep flourishing.